The moment her tears hit the picnic table, I knew I wasn't crazy. I'd been gaslit for months, maybe years. But this was the moment of truth. I didn't scream. I didn't flip the table. I just handed her the brown envelope like it was a birthday card, and I watched her soul evacuate through her eyes. We were at our backyard barbecue. Burgers sizzling, kids laughing, my mom making her dry-ass potato salad again. And there was Emily, my wife of 5 years, pouring lemonade like the perfect mother and smiling like the world's most innocent little angel. Only she wasn't. That smile? Pure performance. Inside that envelope was a file from a private investigator. DNA test results. Surveillance photos. And one brutally clear truth. The twins weren't mine. They were my brother Dylan's. Yeah, my damn brother. The same guy who stayed in our guest room for 6 months while he figured things out after his divorce. The same guy who always gave my wife those side hugs that lasted a little too long. And now? He wasn't just Uncle Dylan. He was Daddy Dylan. I saw her hands tremble before she even opened the folder. She tried to keep her face still, but it cracked in real time. The way her eyes darted around, scanning who was watching. She glanced at my mother, then at the twins, then at me. And then the waterworks came, not the kind that make you feel sympathy. The kind that expose a lie that's been buried deep and rotting. Nick, she whispered, like she was going to say something soft, something human. But I was done giving her the benefit of the doubt. I leaned in close so no one else would hear. You cry now, Emily? Cry later. Just don't pretend you're the victim here. Open the damn folder. And she did. There was no need to read every page. The paternity test was bolded, highlighted, stapled, hell, probably laminated. Dylan's name was right there, 99.9999% match. She closed the folder and looked up at me like I'd just run over her dog. Like I was the one who did something wrong. I can explain, she stuttered. But I didn't want to hear it. Not now. Not here. Not while my entire family was 5 feet away flipping steaks and sipping beer. So I smiled. I nodded. I took a big sip of my drink and whispered again. Good. You'll have your chance. But not here. I want you to lie to my face when it's just us. I want to see how far down this ing rabbit hole you're willing to crawl. I stood up and tapped my glass with a fork like I was making a toast. To family, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. To loyalty, honesty, and the truth finally coming out. A few people chuckled, clinking their glasses like it was a normal toast. Emily didn't. She just sat there with her mouth clamped shut and her hands frozen over that damn envelope. I watched my brother across the yard, grilling hot dogs like he hadn't just detonated my life. Oblivious. Or maybe confident I wouldn't find out. He looked up at me and smiled. Raised a bun in salute. I smiled back. Dead inside. Because here's the truth. I knew for a while something was off. The twins didn't look like me. I told myself it was recessive genes. I told myself I was being paranoid. That I worked too much. That I was projecting. But there were signs. Emily's mood swings. The way she flinched when I mentioned Dylan. The way she never let me go through her phone, always flipped it face down. The late-night runs to pick up medicine. The lingering perfume after she came back from yoga. Dylan's cologne mixed in. But I hadn't expected this level of betrayal. Not from my own blood. I went inside, closed the bathroom door, and looked at myself in the mirror. My hands were shaking. My jaw was clenched so tight I thought my teeth might crack. I should have screamed. Punched a wall. Something. But I didn't. I washed my face, came back out, and played the part of the clueless husband just a little longer. Because this was just the opening act. The real show was about to begin. The barbecue was over. My mom packed up the leftovers. The kids were asleep upstairs, and Dylan was long gone. Emily stood by the sink, clutching the counter like it might collapse beneath her. I watched her from the doorway. Her back was tense, unmoving, as if turning around might confirm that the truth had shattered everything. You gonna start with, it was a mistake, or jump straight to, it meant nothing? I asked flatly. She slowly turned. Her eyes were still glassy, but now the tears had dried, replaced with a sort of defensive panic. Nick, please. Just listen. You have to let me explain. I nodded. Go ahead. Lie to me. One last time. She winced like I slapped her, but she earned that line. She swallowed hard and said, it only happened once. I swear. It was that night we had the big fight, when you stormed out and stayed at your brother's for 2 days. I was drunk. He was here. It was stupid. I stared at her for a second. Then I let out a quiet laugh. You expect me to believe that? I said, shaking my head. Emily, I was at Dylan's that night. Silence. Her mouth dropped open, just a little. Then she closed it and looked away. Her brain was already scrambling for a rewrite. I gave her the time. Oh, no. I mean, the next night. I forgot. You forgot. I stepped closer. Emily, you forgot when you ed my brother and made twins? I didn't know they were his. She blurted, too fast, too loud. So it was more than once, I said, voice low and calm. And there it was. The slip. The crack in the lie. She sat down at the kitchen table and buried her face in her hands. Nick, I didn't mean for any of this to happen. You were always gone. You were married to your job, to your schedule. I was lonely. Dylan was here all the time, and he made me feel seen. Seen? I hissed. Emily, he's my brother, not a backup husband. You don't get it. No, I cut her off. You don't get it. I built this house. I gave you everything. I worked my ass off to provide for this family. And while I was out there killing myself for us, you were in here screwing my blood. And then lying to my face. Smiling like nothing was wrong. You let me raise his kids. The last sentence broke something inside me. Saying it out loud made it real. All those nights I kissed them goodnight, helped with homework, taught them how to ride bikes, thinking they were mine. My sons. Emily reached out across the table. Nick, they're yours. You're their father. Biology doesn't matter. You're the one who's been there. I pulled my hand away like she was poison. Don't you dare say that. Don't try to spin this into some kind of emotional card trick. You stole 5 years of fatherhood from me. You let me believe a lie. She started crying again, quieter this time, not the performative kind from earlier. But I'd seen enough. I stood up. Don't bother sleeping in the bedroom tonight. Where are you going? She asked, her voice cracking. To the truth, I said. Something you clearly lost touch with years ago. As I grabbed my keys, she called out behind me, you're going to destroy everything if you keep going down this road. I paused at the door. Emily, you already did. I stepped into the night air, got in the car, and just drove. Nowhere in particular. I didn't need a destination. I needed distance. My mind was spiraling, but one thing was clear. This wasn't over. Not even close. If she thought she could lie her way out of this, she had no idea who I'd become since I opened that folder. The storm had just begun. I didn't sleep that night. I drove for hours, ending up in the parking lot of a 24-hour diner I hadn't seen since college. The same one where I once brought Emily on our second date. Back when things were simple. Before the lies, before the fake smiles, before my own brother stuck a knife in my back and called it an accident. I sat there, engine off, phone in hand, staring at Dylan's name in my contacts. My thumb hovered over it for 10 minutes before I finally pressed call. He picked up on the second ring. Yo, what's up, bro? His voice was chipper. Innocent. Like he didn't just torch my whole life. Meet me. Now. We need to talk, I said coldly. There was a pause. Nick, is everything okay? Do I sound okay? I snapped. I know, Dylan. I know everything. Another pause. Longer. Then the line went dead. That was answer enough. By the time I got back to the house, he was already waiting on the porch. Sitting on the swing like it was just another Saturday morning. Hoodie on. Coffee in hand. The audacity. Hey, man, he said quietly as I stepped out of the car. I didn't say anything. I just stared at him, and he stood up. Look, I guess you found out, he started, eyes down. I didn't want it to go like this. You didn't want it to go like this? I barked, stepping closer. You moved into my house. You sat at my table. You high-fived me while you were screwing my wife. You played uncle to your own kids, Dylan. He raised his hands, voice rising. I never meant for it to go that far, all right? It started as a one-time thing and Don't, I growled. Do not feed me that same garbage line she used. It only happened once. Bull asterisk. There are 2 kids in there calling me daddy, and they've got your face. Dylan dropped his head like a guilty teenager. I didn't know until recently. I swear. She told me a month ago she thought they might be mine. I didn't even want to believe her. You should have told me the moment you suspected, I said. But you kept quiet. You let me keep living a lie. He looked up, finally meeting my eyes. Because I didn't want to lose you. I laughed, bitter and hollow. You lost me the second you unzipped your pants in my home. Don't act like this was some accident. You had a choice. You made it. Over and over again. He didn't answer. I took a step back and looked at him, really looked at him. This was my brother. My flesh and blood. The guy I grew up playing baseball with, the one who stood next to me on my wedding day, the one who held my newborn twins while I wept from joy. No? All I saw was a coward in a hoodie. Do you love her? I asked, hating the words even as they left my mouth. He hesitated. That was all I needed. I didn't punch him. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But a punch would have been too easy for him. Too forgiving. What I had in mind would last longer. You've got 24 hours, I said coldly. Pack up. Leave town. If you stay anywhere near my family after this, I will make your life hell. You don't get to be around those kids anymore. Not after what you did. His jaw clenched. They're my sons. No, I snapped. They're my victims. Just like me. Just like everyone else you lied to. I turned and walked back toward the house. I didn't look back. If I did, I might not have stopped myself from breaking his damn nose. When I stepped inside, the silence was heavy. Emily wasn't in the kitchen. The envelope still sat on the counter, taunting me like a monument to betrayal. The twins were asleep upstairs, blissfully unaware. And I was no longer the man I was yesterday, because now I knew the truth. And I was done playing nice. When I walked back into the house, the lights were dim, and the air felt heavier than before, like betrayal had a scent, and it had soaked into the walls. I heard soft footsteps from the hallway, and there she was. Emily, wearing one of my old hoodies, looking like she belonged in a Hallmark movie instead of a crime scene. She looked at me like she'd just seen a ghost. Maybe she had. I wasn't the same man who grilled burgers yesterday, playing happy husband. That guy was dead. I heard you talking to Dylan, she said carefully, voice barely above a whisper. I didn't answer. I walked straight to the kitchen, opened the fridge, grabbed a water bottle, and stood there with the door open like the cold could freeze the rage inside me. I'm sorry, she added quickly. I know that means nothing now, but I am. I wish I could take it all back. I turned and stared at her. You're not sorry for what you did, I said slowly. You're sorry I found out. She blinked. Her face twitched. That's not true. It is. You lied every day for 5 years. You made me feel like I was crazy every time I noticed something off. You let me carry those boys, love them, protect them, and you knew there was a chance they weren't mine. I didn't know for sure, she snapped, the first flicker of her real self coming through. I suspected, okay, but I couldn't. You couldn't what? I interrupted. Tell me the truth? Give me the respect I gave you every single day of our marriage. She started to cry again, but this time, I didn't care. I was done falling for the waterworks. I'd seen her turn tears on and off like a faucet too many times. I was scared, Nick, she whispered. I didn't know what to do. You knew how to do him, though, didn't you? I shot back. Her head jerked like I slapped her. That's not fair. Fair. I scoffed. You cheated with my brother, Emily. Fair left this relationship the moment you spread your legs in our guest room. She opened her mouth, probably to fire back, but I raised a hand. Don't say another word unless it's the truth. The whole truth. I want dates. I want details. I want to know exactly when you decided our marriage was optional. She looked at the floor. It started 3 years ago. That hit me like a brick. 3 years, I echoed. So you've been lying to my face for 3 whole years, letting me tuck in his sons and call them mine? She nodded silently, eyes locked on the floor like it had answers. And it didn't just happen once, did it? She shook her head. No. I laughed, one of those cold, hollow laughs that don't feel real. Of course not. We stopped a year ago, she said quickly, like that detail would somehow save her. I ended it. I told him it was a mistake and that it couldn't go on. I swear. Oh, well, in that case, I said sarcastically, let me go order us a cake and celebrate your moral recovery. She flinched. I should have left the moment I started doubting you, I continued. But I wanted to believe the best in you. I thought maybe I was just being paranoid, that I was imagining things. You played that perfectly, didn't you? Gaslighting me every step of the way. I wasn't trying to hurt you, she said through gritted teeth. I was lost. You were never here. Always working, always distracted. I needed someone. Dylan was there. So your loneliness gave you a free pass to screw my brother? I snapped. You didn't try talking to me. You didn't ask for therapy. You just went straight to betrayal. I made a mistake, she said, trying to hold back tears again. No, Emily, I said firmly. You made choices. Over and over again. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. We stood in silence for a moment. The air between us crackled with the electricity of everything unsaid. Everything broken. You're not staying here, I finally said. You can pack your things and go to your sister's. Or your mom's. I don't care. But you're out of this house tonight. And the kids? She asked, her voice suddenly shaking. I stared at her with ice in my veins. We'll talk about them later. When I decide if I'm going to keep raising your lies. She gasped like I punched her, but I didn't blink. I'd been betrayed by the only woman I ever truly loved, and I wasn't about to let her stay one more night under my roof. She packed in silence. No crying, no screaming, no final manipulations. Maybe even she knew there were no more cards to play. Or maybe she was just too stunned to realize the walls were actually closing in this time. I sat on the couch the whole time, motionless, watching the ghost of my wife carry folded shirts and jeans into a suitcase like it was just a weekend trip. But it wasn't a weekend trip. It was exile. The kids were still asleep upstairs. I didn't know how I was going to tell them. How do you tell two little boys that their mom isn't who she says she is, and their uncle might be their actual father? How do you unwind that kind of lie without breaking everything else? Emily zipped up the suitcase and paused at the front door. She looked at me like she wanted to say something, maybe a last excuse, maybe some version of, I still love you, that would ring hollow even if it were true. I'll come back tomorrow to get the rest of my stuff, she muttered. You'll come back when I'm not here, I corrected. I'll leave the garage code on for one day. After that, don't step foot in this house again without a lawyer. Her lip twitched, just for a second. Then she nodded. No fight. No dramatic monologue. Just silence. She grabbed her keys and walked out the door. But what she left behind wasn't just a trail of shattered promises and broken trust. No. Emily took something more valuable with her. Peace. The silence after she left wasn't relief. It was sharp. Empty. Echoing. Like the house itself knew something was missing. I walked into the twins' room. They were sprawled out across their beds, soft snores filling the space. Completely innocent. And completely unaware of the hurricane their mom had unleashed. One of them, Luke, stirred a little and mumbled, Daddy, without even opening his eyes. Yeah, buddy, I whispered. I'm here. And somehow, that broke me more than anything else. I sat on the floor between their beds, staring up at the ceiling, trying to understand how my life turned into this mess. I gave everything to that woman. Everything. And in return, she gave my brother something I never even realized he wanted, my life. My role. My trust. I didn't sleep that night. Again. By morning, the plan was forming in my head. Not revenge. Not yet. But strategy. I couldn't just burn the whole world down, at least not until I had answers. Real ones. I texted my lawyer at 7:02 a.m. Need to talk. Urgent. Divorce, custody, and paternity. Call me ASAP. He responded in 2 minutes. Be at my office at 9. At 8:50, I was already in the parking lot. Sitting across from Robert Clay, the man who handled our mortgage contracts 5 years ago, and was now about to help me unravel the life that mortgage built, I felt strange. Like I was watching myself from the outside. Paternity first, I told him. I want full testing on both boys. I don't care what Emily says, I want court-verified, certified results. If there's a 1% chance those boys are not biologically mine, I want to know. He nodded, taking notes. And custody? If they are mine, I said carefully, I'm going for full custody. I don't want her manipulating them the way she manipulated me. And if they're not? I don't know yet. Robert looked up, surprised. You'd walk away? I hesitated. I don't want to. But I need to know if I've been living a lie, or just part of one. We talked for over an hour, custody rights, DNA laws, infidelity clauses, and prenups. I was tired, raw, running on caffeine and pure anger. But I was focused. For the first time in days, I had control. And that's when the next gut punch landed. As I walked out of Robert's office, I got a message from an unknown number. You're not the only one who knows things, Nick. Be careful what you dig up. I stopped cold. The number was unlisted. No name. No clue. But the message was clear. Someone didn't want the truth getting out. And that meant one thing. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. This was bigger. Dirtier. And I just kicked the lid off a much deeper hole. I stared at the message on my screen for a full minute, standing there in the parking lot like someone had just whispered a death sentence in my ear. You're not the only one who knows things, Nick. Be careful what you dig up. It wasn't fear that hit me first. It was confusion. Then fury. And then this cold, calculated part of my brain woke up, the same part that ran my business, the same part that kept my family afloat while Emily played house with my brother. Whoever sent that message didn't know me very well. Because if they thought a vague little threat would stop me, They just made the biggest mistake of their life. I got into the car, locked the doors, and opened the file folder again. I scanned through the investigator's documents, phone records, paternity test results, timestamped photos. All legit. Nothing in there hinted at anything beyond the affair. So what the hell was I digging up? That night, after putting the boys to bed, I sat in my office, eyes locked on my laptop. I reopened the folder the PI had sent me digitally. There were several subfolders I hadn't fully explored, labeled by date. One of them was marked simply, Cam footage, December 3rd. My stomach dropped. December 3rd. That was the night Emily told me she was out with her sister, helping her pick out a dress for some wedding. She came home late, cheeks flushed, with this cheap perfume that didn't smell like hers. Said they went to a wine bar after shopping. I didn't even question it. Back then, I still trusted her. I clicked the folder. Inside were 3 short video clips. Grainy security cam footage from the outside of a motel. No audio. Just silent betrayal. First clip. 9:12 p.m. Dylan's car pulls up. Emily gets out from the passenger's side. Second clip. 9:57 p.m. They leave, both laughing, arms wrapped around each other like teenagers. Third clip. 10:03 p.m. They stop by Dylan's trunk. He opens it. She pulls out a small box. Then they both look around, cautious, before driving off. I leaned in. What the hell was in that box? I rewound the clip. Paused. Zoomed. It wasn't just a box. It looked like some kind of lockbox. Metal. Heavy. She cradled it like it mattered. Like it meant something. Why would they be moving something like that? I sat back in my chair, heart pounding, questions multiplying. I picked up my phone and texted the private investigator. What was in the trunk on December 3rd? Box she took. What's in it? He responded in less than a minute. Already looked into it. Box is gone. No motel records. She paid cash. No name. No camera inside. But we're still digging. Still digging. That phrase suddenly had a lot more weight. I scrolled back to the thread. Be careful what you dig up. Someone else was watching. Someone outside of just Emily and Dylan. And I just stuck my foot into something that went deeper than betrayal. What if this wasn't just about the affair? What if that box wasn't filled with lingerie or wine bottles or whatever romantic crap people sneak into cheap motel rooms? What if it was evidence? Blackmail? Money? Something criminal? And what if Emily wasn't just some cheating wife, but a willing participant in something darker? My hands were cold as I typed the next message to the investigator. I want surveillance on Dylan. Full time. And Emily too. I want to know where they go, who they talk to, what they carry. Everything. Assume they're both hiding more than just an affair. He responded instantly. Got it. Starting tonight. I sat there in silence. My whole body buzzing. Not from the betrayal. That part was already scorched into me. No, this was something else. That feeling you get when you realize the ground you're standing on might not be solid anymore. That your wife didn't just break your heart, she might be dragging you into something that could break your life. I checked on the twins one more time before heading to bed. They were still asleep, breathing soft and slow. I kissed their foreheads and whispered, I'll protect you. Even if it's from your own mother. I didn't sleep. Because this story had stopped being about love and betrayal. Now it was about truth, survival, and the kind of secrets that people kill to keep buried. The next morning hit like a hangover I hadn't earned. I hadn't slept. I couldn't. My head was a war zone of half-finished thoughts and flashing images. Emily's arms around Dylan, that metal box, the motel, the thread on my phone. And now, something new, my private investigator's message, blinking on my screen at 6:43 a.m. We followed her last night. You're going to want to see this. The video was short, just over 4 minutes. It started with Emily's car pulling up behind a seedy little strip mall on the east side, the kind of place where businesses don't even bother fixing burnt-out neon signs. She wasn't alone. A man was already there, waiting. It wasn't Dylan. Tall, slim, face mostly hidden by a hoodie and a baseball cap. But the way Emily greeted him? She knew him. Hugged him like an old friend. Or worse. They talked for a while. The footage had no audio, but it didn't need it. He gave her an envelope. She gave him a USB drive. A USB drive. Who the hell trades flash drives behind buildings? This wasn't cheating anymore. This was something else. After the exchange, they shook hands. She got back in her car and drove off. The man didn't. He walked around the back of the building and disappeared through a side door. My PI followed him, but the building had multiple exits. They lost him. I stared at the screen. My chest felt like it was being crushed in a vice. Emily hadn't just betrayed our marriage. She'd built another life, one with shady exchanges, secret meetings, and people I didn't even recognize. I called the investigator immediately. Who was the guy? We're running facial recognition now, he said. But the fact she met him without Dylan? That means there's more going on than we thought. She's running her own play. I hung up and just sat there, numb. There's a special kind of madness that comes when you realize the person you thought you knew better than anyone has been living a double life. Emily wasn't just unfaithful. She was calculated, strategic, playing everyone, including Dylan. I pulled out the folder again, trying to piece the puzzle together. Dates, movements, locations. Something had to click. Then I saw it. A small receipt tucked in the back. Not from the PI. From the mail. I remembered it now. It came a few days ago. I tossed it aside because it was addressed to Emily, not me. But I never threw it away. Storage unit rental. Unit number 311, Sunrise Storage, 2 towns over. Rented 3 months ago. Paid in full for 6 months. I don't know why I hadn't noticed it before, but now it screamed at me like a warning siren. At 2 p.m. that afternoon, I drove to Sunrise Storage. No plan. No backup. Just fury and curiosity riding shotgun. The front desk clerk barely looked up. Unit 311? You have the key. I nodded, holding up the spare I'd found taped under Emily's bathroom drawer earlier that morning. God bless her predictability. The hallway to Unit 311 felt like a tunnel leading to another version of my life, the one where I wasn't a husband, but a fool. A pawn. I unlocked the door, rolled it up. Inside was a mess of boxes, bags, and a small desk. But what caught my eye first? The safe. It sat on a metal shelf, half covered with a towel. I ripped the towel off and stared at the keypad. No keyhole. Just numbers. Digital. I tried the twins' birthdays. Nothing. Our anniversary. Nothing. Her birthday. Still nothing. I stood back, breathing hard, hands shaking. Then I saw it, taped to the bottom of the desk, a yellow sticky note with smudged ink. 4 digits. I punched them in. Click. The door creaked open. Inside were stacks of envelopes, cash, 2 more flash drives, and a small black notebook. I grabbed everything and left. Fast. Back in the car, I opened the notebook. Names, dates, codes, amounts, and initials I didn't recognize. It read like a ledger, like something out of a gangster movie. And what name appeared more than once? Dylan. The betrayal wasn't just physical. It was business. Whatever Emily was into, my brother was part of it. And they were making real money doing it. Which meant this wasn't an affair. It was a partnership. And I was the idiot financing the whole thing. I sat in the car, the black notebook resting in my lap like it weighed 50 pounds. Every page I turned peeled back another layer of rot. There were initials I didn't recognize, JW, MT, LS, listed next to strange codes and dollar amounts. R6K, TFR, 9, C drop 215. It wasn't just money laundering. It was movement, drops, transfers, like a dam operation. And Dylan's initials? They were on nearly every 3rd page, always next to the larger sums. They weren't just screwing behind my back. They were profiting behind my back, using my house, my car, my schedule, my silence. Emily had been clever. She kept her worlds separated. The doting wife, the loving mom, all while running whatever the hell this was from a storage unit 2 towns over. And me? I was the idiot who paid the bills while they used my garage to run a side hustle. But not anymore. I wasn't going to cry again. I wasn't going to sit on the floor of my kid's bedroom whispering promises I couldn't keep. I was going to act. And I was going to ruin them. First, I photographed every page in the notebook, making a digital copy. Then I bagged the notebook and flash drives in a Ziploc I had in my glove box. Years of being a dad had taught me to keep random crap in the car, wet wipes, Ziplocs, juice boxes. Now they were part of a case file. I called my lawyer again. Change of plans. I need a recommendation for a criminal attorney, one who plays dirty. He didn't ask questions. Just texted me a name, Lyle Grant. Said he'd send word ahead. Said Lyle owed him a favor. Good, because I was about to flip the script. I got home late, dropped the kids at my mom's, and sat alone in the living room. The house was quiet. Too quiet. And then, as if summoned by the pure rage in my chest, a knock hit the door. I opened it to see Emily. In full makeup, dressed like she was going to brunch. Designer bag on her shoulder. Like nothing had changed. Like she hadn't been caught holding the shovel at the scene of the burial. I came to get more of my things, she said. I didn't move from the doorway. No, you came to see if I was going to play nice. She tilted her head. What are you talking about? I found the storage unit. Her smile cracked. I have the notebook, the flash drives, the videos, the ledger, everything. The color drained from her face. She stepped back. You went through my private things? No, sweetheart, I said, stepping toward her. I went through evidence. Evidence of fraud, conspiracy, maybe trafficking, depending on what's on those drives. You're bluffing, she whispered. Try me. She opened her mouth, closed it. I saw the gears turning. She was calculating, always calculating, wondering what I knew, what I had, how fast she could spin a new lie. I'll go, she finally said. But if you expose this, we all go down. Dylan included. Think about the twins. The twins. I snapped. You mean the ones you used as camouflage while you laundered money with my brother? You don't get to weaponize them now. She straightened her posture. A flicker of defiance lit her eyes. You think you're in control, Nick? You're not. There are people involved in this who don't even know your name. But they will. If you leak that notebook, you won't just ruin me. You'll start something you can't stop. I stared at her. Good, I said. I want them to come. Because I've got nothing left to lose. She didn't respond. She turned and walked back to her car, but not before looking over her shoulder one last time, eyes burning with something that wasn't regret. Fear. For the first time, she was scared. And that's when I realized something. I was done being the victim. I wasn't some sobbing husband in a YouTube story that people skip halfway through. I was the storm they didn't see coming. The next day, I stepped into Lyle Grant's office and placed the bag on his desk. He raised an eyebrow. This what I think it is? No, I said. It's worse. He looked at me. And what do you want to do with it? I smiled for the first time in days. Burn everything. But legally. He nodded slowly. Then let's get started. And just like that, the final chapter of my old life was done. And the war had officially begun.